Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Josh, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about the original Ultimate Marvel Universe. It's an imprint of Marvel that began in the early 2000s to kind of modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century. So Marvel started a whole new imprint of comics that were titles like Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four. You get the idea. They basically just start these characters from scratch and retell their origins as if they were created in the early 2000s instead of the 60s, like most of them were. And so every episode, Josh and I will talk about a different batch of issues from the Ultimate Universe, what we like, what we don't like so much, what's aged well, what hasn't aged so well, how it compares to the original comics, and also just the general impact that Ultimate Marvel has had on Marvel Comics and other media like movies, TV shows, animated series, yada, yada, yada. So this episode, Josh and I are doing a little bit more Ultimate X-Men, issues 69 through 71.
Nice.
What did you think of these issues, Josh?
I thought these were short. They were relatively anticlimactic, but I know you and I disagree, but I have a feeling it's because there's gonna be a big reveal later on. I'm not so no guarantees. I just have a feeling.
There's going to be a big twist to this later on?
Yeah. I feel there's a big in the one or two arcs it'll be revealed. There's a big twist will come.
Are you talking about the new character Elliot Boggs, aka the Magician?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before we recorded, and you mentioned you were suspicious of this new character.
Yeah, like if things are working a little too much in a way it hasn't for the other characters, I feel, especially because he's a reality warper, is causing some of this to happen perfectly.
Yeah.
in his ways. My theory.
That's an interesting theory.
Thank you.
Yeah, things do work out pretty well for him in these issues. A lot of this is a spotlight on the new character. But I feel like, that's what you have to do when you introduce a new character to the team. You gotta, show them off a little, see what they can do, give them their moment to shine.
To a certain degree, it's a little too perfect for him. Other than his parents dying, which is, that's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
That's an understatement. Him accidentally killing his parents when his mutant gene activated, you mean?
But spoilers, Nick Fury doesn't kill him. Nick Fury restrains him. When Kitty happened, the only reason she got into a mission at all was because it was by accident. In this case, it's things are being arranged a little too neatly, so.
Yeah, this is also kind of by circumstance too, similarly to Kitty, but we'll get into that a little bit. It's a fun few issues. I think there's some fun action here, some good moments for this new character, and some interesting stuff, especially about the Phoenix, as this story arc is titled Phoenix, ?
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. We delve a little more into that, as we did the last few issues too. So you want to just jump right into these issues, Josh?
Yeah, so when I first read this, the first cover is a horn dog cover of Wolverine and Scott fighting over sexy Jean in the middle. So
Yes.
and the way it was presented kind of seems, in the way Jean and Scott's story ended last time was that Jean likes a dominant person.
Yes, Scott started taking charge more in the last arc.
Yeah, and that kind of explained why Jean likes a guy like Logan who's older, kind of a rough and violent figure as opposed to Scott. And I thought, does this mean that we're getting another Jean's Wolverine rivalry over Jean again? And nope, it's just the art.
Yeah, this actually does not happen in this issue. This wouldn't be the first time in comics that what happens on the cover doesn't actually happen in the actual comic itself. But yeah, this is a pretty big one where the cover just shows, I've seen this image a lot from Ultimate X-Men just in the periphery, having not read these issues. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this image of Wolverine and Scott fighting while each of them has a hand on Jean's shoulder and she's just looking at the reader.
All sexy.
Yeah, with her crop top Ultimate X-Men outfit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, none of this happens. Wolverine is also barely in these issues. It's a 3-issue arc. He's barely in the first issue. So none of this is representative at all about what happens in the comic. They've done the love triangle stuff already in Ultimate X-Men a couple of times. I don't know if they'll go back to it at any point because I haven't read all of Ultimate X-Men, but it doesn't happen in this arc. That's just what I'm going to say. None of that happens here.
I think with the writers changing and them pairing off Logan with Storm, even if it's not a relationship yet, it kind of seems Wolverine has become turned off romantically. He's kind of experimenting things with Storm. Yeah. So it kind of seems his horn dogginess has been repressed like a divorced man.
Yeah, I think a lot of works has been done since the Mark Millar Ultimate X-Men run. A lot of work was done after that to kind of try and rehabilitate this version of the character and redeem him a little bit more,
Yeah.
because he was just kind of like an asshole in the Mark Millar Ultimate X-Men and just like kind of a piece of shit. So that's kind of why they needed to like veer away from the love triangle, because leaving a Cyclops to die in the Savage Land, not a good look.
Yeah. And Jean has actually somehow become more unlikable as the writers added onto her. This is Dark Jean.
Yeah, well, then there's the whole Phoenix question that does make things a little more interesting that we're finally getting to, since we've been talking about this since the Mark Millar Ultimate X-Men, the whole Phoenix concepts.
And it starts off with more romantic stuff because Angel is talking to the professor over psychic frequencies, which is confusing the hell out of his poor roommate, who was like, dude, you're like laying down, like grunting.
Yeah, he thinks he's like napping because he's just laying back in his bed with his eyes closed. But yeah, he's communicating telepathically with Professor X, just like reporting in on how things are going, because as some of you might recall, Professor X really planted Angel at like Emma Frost's like Academy for Tomorrow or whatever it's called in Chicago, just to like be like a spy on the school, just to keep tabs on things. Like publicly, it seems like he expelled Warren from his school and Warren just went over to the Emma Frost school, but Professor X and Angel are the only ones who know about their deal where he's really just spying for him. And so Professor X is just checking in on him, and Angel's like, yeah, you know, I'm doing pretty well here. I'm going to Homecoming. I'm going Stag, but Colossus is going with Northstar, and so he should be here at any moment. He's like, yeah, it's just not the same, like without Allison, without Dazzler, who is in a coma, and Professor X is like, well, we can't lose hope, you know, there's no signs that she's not going to come out of this coma. So it's a good like little check-in and a good moment of like just seeing how Warren's doing and reminding us what his mission is there, just to keep an eye on things.
And that in the end, it really is just Nightcrawler who's single, but also he's a creep, so maybe he deserves to be single.
Oh, we'll get into that. Yeah, there's a certain page that really freaks me out later in this, but yes, that is true.
Yeah, and Colossus is gonna go with Northstar, who's gonna, you know, take the commute over to Chicago, to
Yes,
Chi-Town.
exactly. Yeah, so that should be very exciting. But Professor X is like, all right, I gotta go, because Jean is like, yeah, you ready? And so Jean and Professor X go into the mind of their new reality warper that Nick Fury like dropped off at their doorstep at the end of the last issue.
Yeah.
And his name is Elliot Boggs, and they go into his mind and they see him like at the kitchen table having dinner with his parents, and it's really funny because Elliot's like, didn't I kill you guys? And his mom's like, don't say that. And then his dad's like, he's a growing man, sweetie, like he can say what he wants, like let him say it. But then Professor X and Jean take him to a more scenic venue, and he's like, where are we, like where am I? And they're like, listen, they explain everything that happened, like your mutant powers activated, you accidentally killed your parents with your powers, and Nick Fury brought you to us, and none of this right here is real. We just like took you to a place in your memories. So this one now, they're like at this like scenic like vacation spot that he went to as a kid.
Yeah.
Right on the water and everything.
Near Maine, because that's where rich New Yorkers go to.
Yes. Yeah, you party it up in Maine with like the EDM music.
Yeah, EDM, you know, like we talked about like we all of us retiring and going to Maine and becoming crabmen and just
you talked about that.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it.
You talked to me about it. I said nothing of. I did not agree to any of this.
You actually went to Maine, though. Let me point that out. I've never been to Maine.
I was in Maine for like 5 minutes. Once again, I will reiterate. I was like on a day trip to somewhere in New Hampshire, and I walked to a town in Maine that was like right across the bridge, and I was there for not very long at all.
Deep down, want to go to Maine, become crabmen like in The Lighthouse, and just retire and write dark novels. That is the dream of all men.
Men?
Yes, all men. Name one man who that isn't his dream.
It's not my dream.
What's your dream then?
It's very simple stuff. I want to, you know, get married, have kids, start a family.
And then retire to Maine.
No, I want to retire somewhere else. I don't want to go to Maine.
Why not?
I don't want to be a lighthouse keeper like you. I don't want to be Robert Pattinson or Willem Dafoe.
People love that movie.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because they have happy lives, as far as I can tell.
You gotta work a job where it's all men who travel around and they're all sad about their family lives, and you want to be a lighthouse keeper. And then you want to eat crab and think about dark thoughts and write them down to a dark novel that will then be taught to like sad college kids for like another 200 years.
Yeah, is that your legacy, Josh?
That will be my legacy. I'll write some dark ass novel. It's gonna be taught in like introductory to American lit
Yeah.
for like 200 years. 200
Oh my
years.
gosh.
Yeah, and my body will be buried in a college.
Dang. So you want to be like the next like Ralph Waldo Emerson or like Henry David Thoreau or someone?
That's right. And like, yeah, I have a feeling a bunch of college kids are gonna smoke weed by my body and desecrate it, and I'll be looking up from heaven, going
Yeah.
like, "What are you guys doing to my body?" But yeah,
Love that for you, and I really hope your dreams do come true.
thank you, thank you. I'm gonna get the TB as well.
The what?
Tuberculosis. That's what all the cool writers got back in the day.
Yeah, is that your dream to get
I already got it.
tuberculosis?
I already got it.
What do you
In fact,
mean you already got it?
when I worked at a hospital in high school, they tested me for it, and they said I had it.
All right, you can check that off your bucket list then. You're one step closer to achieving your dreams.
But they also gave me an exemption for it because they're like, we think you've been vaccinated for it, so, but you technically have it deep in your body.
All right. Anyways,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Professor X and Jean are talking with Elliot, and they're like, Professor X is like, yeah, you need to learn to control your powers, and I can't like take you out of sedation until you can like control yourself. And Elliot's like, I can't like control my powers when I'm using them, but I know I can stop myself from using my powers. And now that I know more about the situation, like I'm calmer now. I was freaking out earlier, so I can like relax.
That's like the first like weird sign to me. I was like, really? Like you've killed your parents, you threw snakes at those working men shield agents, and now you're just not. No, like this is what like Elliot, for those who didn't like it's a little suspicious to me. And I'm getting weird vibes off of him.
I mean, it's reasonable, I think, like, now that he's fully aware of what's going on and he's in like a comfortable, safe environment, he can control himself. Before he literally was having guns pointed at him by shield agents, and he had just killed his parents moments before. I think he was in a bad state, and now he's kind of like, okay, I get it. I think I can stop.
I think if mutants are real, we gotta keep an eye on them. Just because of stuff like Elliot Boggs. This guy could cough and half of Canada could be gone. And we're just supposed to be okay with it?
Oh my
Lock
gosh.
him up. You would let him...
Jeez.
No. Would you let...
I'm gonna, let me hand you, like, the sign-in form for this Friends of Humanity meeting you're clearly trying to attend.
Look, if a guy could pop claws out of his nose, leave him alone. At worst, he's gonna shank someone. But if he shanks someone, he was gonna do it with a knife if he couldn't pop claws out. But this guy, he might accidentally destroy a state or a city.
He knows how to not use his powers, he said, so seems fine to me.
He didn't, though. He destroyed, like, a town in New York.
He did not destroy a town in New York.
He killed at least 2 people and threw snakes at a bunch of other people.
On accident. Anyways,
yeah.
They let him out and they wake him up. And in the X Mansion, then Cyclops shows up and Professor X is like, this is Elliot Boggs. Can you show him around? Give him the lay of the land. So Cyclops becomes like the tour guide for the X Mansion, as he did for Kitty Pryde too when she first came there.
Yeah. And Elliot's a little too eager to be an X-Men. And I'm like, you just found out you're a mutant. You just murdered 2 people, and now you want to be an X-Men? A little kind of weird.
I mean, his line of logic does make sense. He's like, listen, my life is ruined. Like, I have nothing left from my old life. Like, my parents are dead because I accidentally killed them. Like, the world hates and fears me now. I have nothing left. I may as well become an X-Man, He's like, it would at least be a good distraction.
He wants to do it for the adventure and the attention.
I don't think he wants it for that. I think he just wants to start a new life because his old one is ruined now.
Well, he's a little too happy to be an X-Men. Things just work out perfectly for him. Back at the lab, while Cyclops escorts Elliot out, Professor X tells Jean, hey, we're getting new money from the Church of the Sure Enlightenment. That's who I was on a date with this cult leader, and they want to do the Phoenix testing on you.
And at first, Jean's like, wait, what? Like, you agreed to this? And Professor X is like, hey, I only said I would do it if you agreed to it first, so... And then she's like, all right, I trust you, so let's do it. And then he's kind of like a dick to her, because she calls him Charles, and he's like, please, call me Professor. I was like, what a power move. What an asshole. Stop power tripping, Chuck. Jesus, Charlie.
Isn't it usually the other way around where people go like, no, Professor was my father. I'm Chuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at least call me Charles. Like, nope, he goes the other way around. He's like, call me Professor.
Yeah. Call me daddy, as they
Yeah.
say.
I mean, that's not far off, given what it seems like he thinks about Jean here.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sure we'll get into this more,
we are
but
gonna get
yeah,
into this.
I'm getting those vibes for sure.
Rogue tells Wolverine, and Rogue kind of is becoming his new sidekick, saying like, "I got a call from Nathan Fitzgerald."
Yeah, it's just so funny because Logan picks up the phone and he's immediately like, "What do you want, Fury?" Because it's so obvious, like Nathan Fitzgerald. Man didn't even change like the initials of the name that he used, like the alias. Nick Fury. Like, are you stupid? You think Wolverine's an idiot?
I mean, he's a creep, so maybe.
Yeah. But Nick Fury's calling Logan and he's like, "Hey, I've got a job for you. This is really important. You got to meet me in less than an hour." And Wolverine's kind of like pissy with him and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll be there in 2 hours." And I think that's so funny. He's like, just as like a fuck you, like, "Yeah, okay. I'll be there, but it's going to be a while."
Have you ever seen those movies where they're like, "Yeah, it'll take me 10 hours to hack the bank," and he goes like, "You got 30 minutes," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Look, man, if you rush me, I can maybe get it done in 8. I can't do it
Yeah.
in 30."
And Wolverine's again doing the opposite. It's like you have to be here in less than an hour. And he's like, "I'll be there in 2." Like it's gonna be a bit. There's
Yeah.
traffic. I don't know. And
This,
I'll take my time. Probably like crack open a beer or two first. Get myself a sandwich.
this is Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine. What's Fury thinking? Wolverine can't beat the Hulk.
Yeah, well, this should be interesting. I've been waiting for this. I know this is the lead in to Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine, which is a famous slash infamous miniseries from the original Ultimate Universe. So the mission Fury is calling Wolverine on, I'm assuming, is to battle the Hulk. And surprise, surprise, next episode we will be talking about Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine, which I'm very excited for. So this is kind of where Wolverine disappears for the rest of the arc.
Have you seen the movie Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine?
I've seen, if you're talking about like the animated Hulk versus
Yeah,
Wolverine movie, that's like really just 30 minutes or so. I have, and I love that.
I also love it. I think that's how people got introduced to Deadpool. Nolan North as Deadpool.
Yes, yeah. I think that was one of my first introductions to Deadpool was the Hulk versus Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. I think that's mainly more based off of like Wolverine's original, like his first appearance when he fights the Hulk and he's sent by like Department H. But
Yeah.
that also mixes a bunch of like Weapon X stuff in there too. And you get like Deadpool, Lady Deathstrike, Omega Red, Sabretooth, like all the
Yeah.
biggest Wolverine names are in there.
That one is also there's also a scene referencing it in Wolverine and Deadpool the movie.
Yeah, no, exactly. Of him fighting the Hulk. I think
Yeah.
that's referencing also like the Todd McFarlane cover of like Wolverine facing the Hulk, and you can see the Hulk's reflection like in his claws, and during the Peter David Incredible Hulk run, which is iconic cover.
But like Wolverine can't beat the Hulk is the problem, I feel.
I mean, here's the thing: Wolverine can at least stand toe to toe with the Hulk because he can take anything the Hulk dishes out, and
Yeah.
he can hurt the Hulk. Like he can like cut through his skin. He can stab him. He can.
But he can't kill the Hulk is the thing.
No, I mean, no one really can kill the Hulk, but no
So,
one
like-
can kill Wolverine really either. So
Yeah, but like which genius is always saying, you know who could get us the Hulk? Wolverine. And I'm like, yeah, you could like slow him down, but Hulk's gonna kick his butt.
I mean, he's like got advantages. He's small and like surprisingly quick, so like he can take on the Hulk. I think I saw someone on Instagram say that a lot of their fights are really just for the love of the game, which is
Yeah.
really funny. They're just two angry motherfuckers who just love like fighting each other and like
Well-
stabbing and punching each other.
I disagree because I feel the Hulk just wants to be left alone and be blasted off into another planet.
I mean, he doesn't want to be blasted off into another planet. That's like exactly why he came back after Planet Hulk and decided, I'm going to beat the shit out of the Illuminati. That was the entire plot of World War Hulk, where he's like, hey, you bitches sent me to another planet. Now I'm going to beat your asses.
I still support sending Hulk to another planet. It's best for humanity if we get this walking earthquake out of here.
If it had gone as originally intended, maybe, but like, man, he landed like on the wrong planet and ended up becoming enslaved as a gladiator.
And but it worked out for him. He took over the planet, didn't he?
Yeah, and then like there was an explosion that like killed his wife and like
Yeah.
destroyed the capital city of Sakaar. Anyways, Hulk tangent aside, the Illuminati is full of scumbags, and I will die on that hill.
Whoa, the Sorcerer Supreme is a scumbag. The
Kinda.
smartest man on Earth is a scumbag.
Kind of, yeah. For all the shit they did, they're all pieces of shit. Anyways, but yeah, Rogue shows up afterwards, after the call, and Wolverine like checks on her and he's like, "Hey, like, are you okay? Like, I didn't like you running off with Gambit, but I'm sorry to hear what happened to him."
Yeah.
And he's like just checking to see how she's doing, and like it's very much like seems inspired by like their relationship in the movies, where she's his protege a little bit, and like that later gets adapted into like X-Men Evolution, the cartoon, and like the Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon. It's a very like 2000s thing of like Wolverine being like kind of a paternal figure to Rogue.
Yeah, I think that started off either in the comics. These comics or the movies, right?
Yeah, I think it was the movies, because I think the original Ultimate X-Men comics were based off of the first like X-Men movie.
The Singer verse, as they're calling it.
But yeah, I wish they didn't. I don't want any
Well,
association with him.
well, I'll say this. Apparently, all the actors from the X-Men movie still hang out, and they all kind of hate Bryan Singer.
Yeah, I totally understand that. That makes perfect sense.
Bryan Singer's like scumbag. Is it because the way I know I keep asking, is it because of the way he treats people, or is it because he diddled a kid? So he's just a
Both.
piece of shit over and around. All.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Scott's giving Elliot a tour of like the whole school and everything, and Elliot's still very eager to become an X-Man. He's like, I got ideas about my uniform, and Scott's like, you gotta slow down. Like,
Yeah, it's like, you just found out you're a mutant a few minutes ago.
You're gonna need a bit of time before you're gonna need training. You're gonna need months before you can like be even considered to be an X-Man.
Yeah.
And first you got to just get regular clothes. So Scott's like, here, you can borrow some of mine until we can take you to get some new clothes.
And I start walking around the hallway. Everyone's like, oh, he looks hot because he just has abs that just make the clothes look good.
Yeah, everyone's thirsting after this new guy.
Yeah, see, this weirds me out.
But in the danger room, Storm, Rogue, and Iceman are practicing, like fighting Sentinels. And Rogue, yeah, it seems like she's really getting the hang of these new powers she got from Gambit. She's got like a new jacket and everything. She's like flinging cards just like Gambit. You can tell she's very much absorbed a lot of his personality along with his powers.
She says "mon ami" a lot.
Yeah, she calls Iceman Mon Ami, and she gets creative with her powers, and she like uses a block of ice that Iceman makes for her to like throw and blow up at a Sentinel, and it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh, okay, so she's really like become Rogue / Gambit. That's like her new thing.
They also ask like, why do you keep using cards? And she goes like, they're available, and I can keep playing with them if I'm bored, you know. And you think it's Kirkman not liking that gimmick.
Yeah, 'cause she's kind of like, oh, they're easy to carry. It gives me something if I'm bored. I don't know. Whatever.
What's people's problem with the cards? I have cards all the time. I always bring cards wherever I go.
I think a lot of people are like, hey, Gambit can use anything and like blow them up. Why does he choose playing cards? And I'm like,
What
it's
else
for the
would it
gimmick,
choose?
all right?
It doesn't have to be playing cards. It could use Magic the Gathering. It could use
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Cash, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pokemon cards.
Exactly. I mean, those are actually expensive now. Actually,
Yeah,
and
those
so
are
is Magic.
valuable. You can't use like Pokemon cards worth thousands of dollars.
Or Magic. Or Yu-Gi-Oh for that matter.
Yeah, that's true. So you just regular playing cards will be fine.
He could use cash. He could use credit cards.
Yeah.
Cancel this.
Yeah.
So when I first played one of the X-Men games at like a sleepover way back in the day, they gave me Gambit, and I was like, what does he do? And the guy said, oh, he throws credit cards.
Credit cards, man.
Yeah, because you couldn't see them as playing cards as a kid. And I'm like, I just see like cards floating around him. So I guess I'm just assuming I'm throwing credit cards at people.
You know, why not? He's a thief, so he must have stolen them and just blows them up just for fun.
I will say, like, what else would Gambit carry if not cards, realistically? Coins? Those are valuable.
Yeah, that's true. I have no problem with it. I don't know why you're attacking me, but like...
I'm just saying, some people find it dumb. I don't. Tic Tacs?
Well, I
Is
don't
that better?
find it dumb.
I don't find it dumb either. I think it's cool, and I really also don't think there's another regularly available option other than maybe Tic Tacs or Stones.
Tic Tacs. Stones, now that's deadly. That's like...
So maybe Stones is a little better, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Scott and Elliot are passing by the danger room, and Cyclops, like, these are your teammates, but you're gonna need months of training before you can become one of them. And then he takes Elliot to, like, the hangar where they have the new X-Wing.
Like in Star Wars?
Yes, that's really just comparable to like the Blackbird in the 616 universe. It's like their mode of transport.
Yeah.
But it's the new X-Wing that Lilandra and the Shi'ar have made for them. And so in the hangar, Lilandra and her assistant Gerald arrive. And so like Cyclops is there with Elliot, but then Professor X and Jean just kind of like brush past Cyclops since they like came to inspect Jean and to examine her like for the Phoenix, like in
Yeah.
traces of that.
And they also said the X-Wing is, well, not the X-Jet, but the X-Wing is the exact same as the earlier one. They copied
Yeah.
it to the bone.
Yeah, and it does look exactly the same as the
Yeah.
original one they had. But yeah, then we get to the Emma Frost Institute, where Colossus and Northstar now are like arriving at the homecoming dance. And it's like their first date, as they've established. But I think Polaris says stuff about like, yeah, but like, come on, you guys talk on the phone all the time. So it's this really cute like first date like high school dance kind of thing. It's very sweet, it's very innocent between them, and they said like, oh yeah, Angel should be here any minute. But then of course, as these things go, the Brotherhood of Mutants then just comes crashing through the wall.
And that's why I'm a little suspicious. I'm like, why does the Brotherhood care about this dance? They don't.
Yeah, it's like, what are they doing here? What's going on? Are they just here to
It's just
cause
like,
trouble?
it's a classic high school drama thing where like the bad guy crashes the school dance, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Then they start fighting, and Colossus bounces off of the blob, and Toad wraps his tongue around Havok's neck. But Polaris, in the midst of the chaos, I know managed to take charge pretty well. Like, she got Sunspot and Cannonball moving to, like, protect their teammates and attack the Brotherhood. And so that was pretty cool. And Colossus ends up calling Cyclops. And Cyclops is like, hey, Elliot, you might see some action after all.
I'm like, we'll bring Ellie into this. This guy's dangerous. He's a dangerous character. Don't bring him to the action. Dump
Man,
him
you just
off.
hate this new guy, don't you?
I'm suspicious of him. Look, he's rich. He's from upstate New York. He's a reality bender. I'm just suspicious of, like, he's a little too eager, you know? He's dangerous.
No, so you don't like the rich after all.
Well, that's not. Well, things are just.
Checkmate. Josh has been defending the rich for so long, and now we
I have
got
not
him.
been defending the rich. I've just been pointing out they're not all evil or bad.
Most of them are. Anyways, the cover of issue 70 is also then just crazy because it's literally like Cyclops single-handedly fighting both the Blob and Toad. He's like behind Blob with like Blob in like a headlock, and like a sandwich is falling out of the Blob's hands, and then he's like flinging Toad around by his tongue like a lasso behind with the other hand. And I'm like, this is an insane cover. It's so funny. It's like Lone Ranger Cyclops taking on the Brotherhood.
Blob and the Toad, I kind of feel bad for. They're serious villains, but they're like mocked. Like when Toad joins the X-Men, he's made the janitor of the school.
I'm like, you can kind of see why they end up joining the Brotherhood, because like physically they would be the ones who are like looked down upon a lot by society, and they are like treated like garbage. Like the Blob is in these issues. I will later know Blob is shamed a lot, like body shamed, and like a lot of like fat shaming and a lot of like fat phobic remarks.
Yeah.
And Toad, just because his name says it all, along with like how he's perceived, you know, with his appearance and everything, and like his powers. Like, yeah, I can see why they like have a problem with humanity, because humanity probably doesn't look too fondly on them.
The X-Men don't treat them well either. Not that a janitor is a bad job, but Toad has just made the janitor. I'm like, you just grabbed your arch nemesis, one of your arch nemesis. He said it's switching sides, and you go like, I'll reward you with a crappy job. Clean my toilet. Or else, and no union either.
Yeah, no unions. That's truly evil.
I know.
But the issue starts with Nightcrawler in the hospital talking to Dazzler as she's in a coma.
Yeah.
And this is one of the creepiest things I've read so far in Ultimate Marvel. And I'd heard about this beforehand, and it's so awful.
Yeah.
He's talking to her, and he's like, yeah, I enjoy our talks, especially since you can't hear me. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, I can't imagine if you could actually hear me, what you would think of me. And there's a lot of like self-loathing and shame behind it.
Because you should have.
Yeah, it's like, you should be. Like, you're like...
You're a disgusting blue person.
Yeah, you're creeping on someone who can't even hear you or isn't even fully conscious.
You know who we should have said this to? Colossus.
Yeah, but he says this awful stuff too when he's talking to her about Colossus. He goes on about how like Colossus betrayed me. He like hid what he was from me. He's an abomination, and now he's dead to me. And I'm like, oh my God. That is like some of the worst stuff you could say about your friend who just came out to you.
Especially because Colossus has been nothing but kind to him.
Yeah.
And also, he was like the perfect guy to listen to, because he was the person who'd listen to you.
Yeah, and he was really trying to like reach out and like still be friends with Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler's like, he's dead to me. He's an abomination.
I'd rather creep out on a girl who chose someone else.
Who is in a coma. Like, that's crazy. This is awful. You're evil.
Yeah.
So then he's also like moaning about how, oh, Warren isn't around for our Danger Room games. Now all I have was you. And I'm like, that's so creepy. That's so gross. You're acting all possessive over. Also, he mentions how Warren is his friend, and this is his friend's girlfriend who is in a coma and unaware of anything that's being said to her or anything around her. I'm like, this is so gross.
Yeah.
Like, this Nightcrawler is so like the worst Nightcrawler I've ever like encountered in any media. Like, it's insane.
It's like, this is the worst Wolverine. Well, this is the
Yeah.
worst Nightcrawler.
This
and
is the worst
Wolverine.
Nightcrawler. Yeah.
And the worst Wolverine, too.
Yeah, like absolutely awful, like disgusting. No notes. I mean, plenty of notes, but just throw it away and start over. When we cut to back at the X Mansion, Elliot wants to go on this mission to fight the Brotherhood, and Scott says no.
And the thing is, Scott could just leave him at the mansion.
Yeah, he could easily do that, but then reinforcements arrive, the rest of the team, and the rest of the team is really Storm, Rogue, and Iceman.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is gone.
Kitty is off doing... It's now a Spider-Man character, so...
Yeah, they're like, Kitty's with Spider-Man. Again, we're not going to see her ever again. No one else is there because, like, Professor X and Jean are talking to Lilandra and the Shi'ar, trying to figure out this Phoenix stuff. Colossus is already there in the midst of this battle. Like, Wolverine is MIA, probably fighting the Hulk or something.
Yeah.
So it's just us.
And I don't think they need to take LA. They could just go, hey man, we have cable, we have internet. Go watch some YouTube videos or something. We'll be back.
Yeah, I guess they don't trust him unsupervised. And Scott's just like, okay, I guess let's go.
You know, I feel for most guys his age, you give them TikTok, you give them the internet, you give them like a jar of Vaseline and some food, they're good to go. And and an Xbox.
I didn't need to hear that. I didn't need to hear the Vaseline part.
And an Xbox.
Yeah, all right. Let's just think clean thoughts, chum.
If you give them an Xbox, internet access, and maybe TikTok, and a toilet, and
leave him some snacks, money for pizza, I don't know.
Yeah, he's good to go. Yeah. Scott, you're really underestimating like how easy it is to just leave this guy unsupervised in an empty house.
Yeah,
he's good to go.
I guess they're like, fuck it, let's just take him along.
Yeah.
And we cut to Lilandra meeting with Jean and Xavier. And Jean's like really upset over being like a lab rat and being examined. But Xavier's like, hey, just trust me on this. It's going to be okay. And they do like a blood test on Jean. They're saying to see if she has any properties of the Phoenix that from their ancient tomes. And Lilandra's explaining, if you're the Phoenix, you'll be the physical embodiment of the Phoenix before your 20th birthday, and your consciousness will merge with the Phoenix. And I'm like, wait a minute, before her 20th birthday, this girl's 19. This is happening soon.
It's also, she's been through some crazy weird stuff since she was 19.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what? This is happening so fast.
I haven't even been on a date when I was 19.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. Then she's like, yeah, then as the Phoenix, you'll remake the universe into a paradise and save the world.
She's basically a Hope.
Yeah. Like Hope Summers from like 616.
Yeah.
Who, complicated as a character, cannot even begin to explain her full history, but fundamentally is Hope Summers was like the mutant messiah in the main universe, and she was born after M-Day, after the Scarlet Witch depowered most of the Earth's mutant population. She was the first and only mutant born for a while, born after that, and she was meant to reignite the mutant race, which she did by harnessing the power of the Phoenix and restarted the mutant race. So thank you, Hope.
But this is just basically a different, like a Hope for all of us, just allegedly.
Yeah, for the whole universe, allegedly.
Yeah. In the X-Wing, everyone's horn dogging after Elliot and his abs. Like, they all comment on his abs.
Yeah, like, well, first, Elliot's already got an X-Men uniform on, and they're like,
I think they said he uses his powers to make one, no?
Yeah, he makes a uniform for himself, and they're like, yeah, look at his abs.
And I'm like, you disgusting horn dogs.
They're thirsting after this new guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, guys, rein it in. And then they arrive at Emma Frost's school, and they're like, I wonder where the dance is. And then they see Colossus get knocked out of a wall, and they're like, that's probably right over there.
Yeah.
And then emerging from the wall, it's actually the Chicago students. So, like Havok, Polaris, Cannonball, Sunspot, Angel, Northstar, all ready to attack. And Scott very quickly guesses, like, I think Mastermind tricked them. So now the Chicago kids like are seeing the X-Men as members of the Brotherhood, and Cannonball like sees Iceman as Toad, which like really pisses off Iceman, which is very funny. It's like, how come I got Toad out of everyone? Are you kidding me?
See, they all are just mean to Toad. Maybe if they're nicer to Toad, he'd switch sides.
Maybe. Toad is kind of like creepy too sometimes, so there's also that.
Talking of creepy, do you know who the actor for Toad is in the first X-Men movie?
Yeah, it's like Ray something.
Ray Park. He was Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just iconic as Darth Maul.
He's since his wife cheated on him, so he's since gone crazy.
That sucks, buddy.
Yeah, poor Toad. He just can't even win in this universe.
Well, I hope he went Darth Maul on the guy who was sleeping with his wife.
Oh, it
Cut him
was
in
the
half.
actor for Boba Fett.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
Not the one we all know, the one for Kid Boba Fett.
Well, they kept it in the Star Wars family, so,
Would have been better if it was Hugh Jackman.
That would have been hilarious. But Hugh Jackman's too good, I hope.
He already cheated on one wife.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually know his dog walker.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He does not a good tipper, is what I've been told.
But yeah, then we cut to Lilandra talking to Jean, examining her and like asking her a lot of questions about herself. And then she's like asking her about her visions that she's had. And she's like, I understand how terrifying these visions are. And Jean just goes off on her and she's like, you don't understand. I'm seeing people burning alive, like left and right in my visions. I'm having nightmares. Like, my boyfriend is melting in front of me. It's like, the Hellfire Club was right. Like, this is a destructive force. And she says some crazy stuff because then she's like, if I'm the Phoenix and this is true, I'm going to find the nearest bridge and I'm going to jump off it. She's like, I will literally kill myself. I'd rather die than be the Phoenix.
If it's a 616 Phoenix Force, we could go like, would that be so bad? Because this Phoenix Force is pretty evil if you don't know what you're doing.
That's true. But I'm like, that's extreme. That's a lot. Like, yikes. Like, that's actually, she's in a really bad state. Like, this Hellfire Club shit really put her through it. She doesn't want anything to do with the Phoenix.
I imagine if, like, you know how, like, some Buddhist groups go, like, oh, like, our leader will reincarnate as a little boy or a little girl, like, after his death. Imagine, like, these Buddhist monks come to this person's house and the kid goes like, yeah, if I am this guy, I'm just gonna kill myself. You're not getting your Messiah back.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm like, oh man. That would be so disheartening.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Chicago where like during this fight, Scott is like dropped from the sky by Angel, and as he's falling, Elliot manages to save him by using his reality warping powers to like create a cushion for him.
And I'm like, I thought this guy couldn't control his powers.
I mean, it looks like he's learning on the fly. Yeah, he is learning very quickly how to control these powers. But Cyclops is like all business during this fight. Iceman is messing around a bit with like fighting Sunspot, and Cyclops just zaps Sunspot, and he's like, we got to take these guys down so fast so we can stop the Brotherhood and find out what they're doing here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hell yeah, tell him.
He goes like, Alex will be easy to take care of. Polaris is no joke. And I'm like, you're being a jerk.
Yeah, Colossus has taken them down, and he's like, yeah, Cyclops, your brother wasn't so tough, but Polaris, she's no lightweight. And I'm like, okay, that's true about Polaris, but man, rude. Alex is constantly getting dunked on.
And I'm like, no wonder, like, people hate Scott sometimes. I'm like, I know this is Colossus, but still.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel for Havok, like, as the second born, as, like, the middle child. I'm like, stop shitting on Havok, all right? He's doing his best.
You're like the second child.
Yeah, I'm a middle child, kind of like Havok. I mean, depending on if you consider like Adam X a Summers brother, in which case there's like 4 of them, but still, I'm like, it's not easy, all right? He's just in Cyclops' shadow, and it sucks. It's
sometimes you're the oldest child, and it's not easy either. Just saying.
Yeah, are you speaking as the oldest child?
I am the oldest child. I am. Yeah. It's really hard, No one's really on your side,
Yeah, you feel like you have to be responsible all the time.
Exactly. But also Havok, I do feel for him because I think, like, other than Peter Parker, he just has this horrible love life.
Yeah, his life is miserable, especially his love life. I mean, he made the wrong choices in a lot of cases. Like, really? Like, going after, like, your brother's ex-wife? Like, are you crazy?
And then cheating on your fiance, who's Magneto's daughter. with a
Yeah,
nurse.
with a nurse, you're risking the wrath of Magneto's daughter? That's insane.
I think she does almost kill everyone as a result. She goes
Yeah,
crazy.
Polaris goes full Magneto when he leaves her at the altar.
To be fair, the guy who wrote it, who we actually talked about him,
Chuck Austin.
yeah, he's not the worst storyteller, but some of his stuff is like a little.
His Uncanny X-Men run has a lot of bad stuff in it, and it's probably almost unanimously regarded as like the worst X-Men run. But a bit of good stuff in there.
He writes good one shots, and then Havok gets together with Wasp. He's engaged to a wealthy Avenger. Poor Pym, but you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, his relationship with the Wasp was doomed.
And
Yeah.
then during the Krakoa age, when the council who's running Krakoa, they go like, "Man, we can't just kill people willy nilly. We gotta make an exception for Havok."
Yeah, and then he starts simping after Madeline Pryor again, and I'm like, oh, buddy.
Look, it hasn't been easy for you. He is like the Nabeel of the Summers family, as you
I'd
said.
like to think that I'm doing better than Havok, but yeah, Havok's had
I
it rough.
I will say it is. I was dumbfounded when Havok was the one who was like, of all the people they want to execute, it's Sabretooth, Omega Red, and Havok. Really?
Yeah, Havok had to like be on the Hellions just to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Havok has never been better than when he was in space as like leader of the Starjammers. I was like, keep him as far away from his brother and out of his shadow as possible.
Also, I forgot to mention, Ultimate Havok is the older brother. I
Yes.
believe. Also, Havok, I was also gonna say, oh yeah, in Hellions, he actually makes peace between the mutants and the robots, but Professor X kills the robots anyway.
Yeah.
And the robots see Havok as the one who killed them, and they're like, we must destroy the mutants, starting with Havok.
Yeah, I'm like, he just gets dunked on over
You know-
and over again, no matter how much good he tries to do.
You know what? I'm not a Havok fan now, just because I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Havok too. He deserves so much better.
He is the Peter Parker of the X-Men.
Yeah, like he has a lot of good intentions. Maybe he's not the brightest bulb, but he's got a good heart. Anyways,
Yeah, and No's character assassination, him cheating on Polaris.
yeah, that was shitty.
Yeah, not the good thing, but it was a little weird he did it. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Then the Brotherhood emerges from the school to take on the X-Men after the X-Men defeat the Chicago kids. And the Blob is like, yeah, you guys take the others. The Popsicle's mine. Talking about Iceman. And Iceman is like, Popsicle? He's like, it is on. He's so offended by this, which is so funny. And Lilandra, meanwhile, back at the Institute, is calming Jean down a bit. And she's like, all right, we're almost done with this examination. Just tell me how often you have these visions of yours. And Jean is like, well, it hasn't been that often since like the Hellfire Club incident, where like the Hellfire Club tried to like turn her into this destructive force.
but I feel every other arc she has these visions. Though is the problem.
Yeah, there's been like teases here and there of like the Phoenix like over time since then.
Yeah.
But then she's like starts sweating a lot and something bad is happening. And then back in Chicago, like Cyclops, while he's fighting Toad, is like, yeah, you can do better than this, like come on. Which is a good like callback to like their friendship in the past when like Cyclops was briefly a member of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And they like stayed in touch a little bit. And then he like throws Toad at Mastermind, and Rogue ends up like throwing cards at some multiple men and blowing them up. And then Elliot gets more time to shine because he like confronts the Blob, and he like shows him what happens when you split an atom. So he uses his reality warping powers to split an atom and cause an explosion that actually moves the Blob a little. So it's like, all right.
I find that so dangerous because he could have killed us all by causing a nuclear reaction, and I'm like, this guy's dangerous.
you
didn't
still
know
have
this-
it out for him.
You didn't know if that would have just killed all of them.
Well, thank God it didn't.
Also, the Blob is moved a lot in Ultimate because I remember Hank Pym is able to move him, and then Hank Pym eats him.
Yeah, well, we will get to that eventually. We're still waiting to get to that. But back at the Institute, then Jean like starts speaking differently, and it's clear that then she becomes like possessed by the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And she's like going on to the Lander about how she doesn't know what she's messing with, and now she's going to use her power to unmake the world, starting with her.
Yeah.
Which ends
Um,
issue 70.
Yeah. No, I still don't think we really know what the Phoenix Force is in Ultimate, even by the end of this arc.
Yeah, not yet. We might see more like in the future because this is not the end of the Phoenix saga, I don't think. So we will see more, I hope. And then at the beginning of issue 71, the Blob is like, I'm unstoppable. And he kind of sounds like the Juggernaut because he's like, yeah, like you can't move me when I'm standing still. And if I'm going, like you can't stop me. And he like jumps and he slams himself down on the ground and creates a shockwave around everyone.
Is that an actual power of Blob? Is that he can't be moved? Or is it just a saying he does?
I think that's just something he's saying. I think you can move him, but it does take a lot because, he's massive.
Yeah.
And like Elliot then uses his reality warping powers to like move the ground below him so the Blob like sinks into the sidewalk and he like buries him in it.
Reporters arrive and Elliot's naturally good at talking to them somehow.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But then the Blob like bursts out from the ground. Then Toad like starts like attacking and grabbing Scott, and the Storm blasts Toad, and Cyclops zaps him. So it's this last issue is like a lot of big action scenes like that.
It's the classic thing of Storm going from the movie where you know what happens with the Toad in the wind?
Oh my
Same thing
gosh.
to everyone. Same thing to everything else.
I mean, if you're gonna say a terrible line, you may as well say it right, which is, you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
It's not the worst line. I don't know why everyone hates these movies for like some of these terrible dialogues.
Because it's written and like delivered as if it's supposed to be something like clever, but it's not. It's just like, that's okay, I guess. That's
Yeah,
just
it's
more
funny.
of a comment, really.
It's
just
funny.
stupid.
You know, Halle Berry still knows that line by heart. Just saying.
Probably because she understands how dumb it is.
J-Law still knows the X-Woman line apparently by heart. They're
Because
funny
it's
and
infamous.
they're funny.
It's stupid.
They're funny and people like them.
No, they're dumb. They're dumb.
I
and
like them.
People only like them because they think they're stupid and they laugh at them.
I think that was the point of some of them, though.
I don't think so, unfortunately.
Look, I'll be honest, the 2000s action sci-fi era did not produce a lot of great lines.
That's true. The dialogue was pretty cheesy.
Yeah, except maybe Matrix, and even that has gotten old really quickly.
Yeah, there's still some moments where you're like, okay, that's a little much. Cut to the Phoenix, like, threatening to fry Lilandra from the inside out, like, threatening to, like, melt her kidneys and stuff.
Lilandra tries to explain, no, Jean, you don't get it. The Phoenix is a process over time. It's not an instant, which kind of lends to the argument that Professor X had a while ago, that, like, this really is the subconscious of Jean taking over and reacting rather than whatever the Phoenix might be or is not be.
Yeah, she's really saying like, hey, this is something that happens over time. This is not something that you can just suddenly become the Phoenix. And I think that's the thing, like when Jean learns to master this power and to control it over time,
if it's even real,
yeah, then that's something good and that's something benevolent and then something with more balance. But if it happens all at once, which I think is the common thing that happens in the Phoenix saga, it's too much power for too much and it's overwhelming and it becomes corrupted like this. But yeah, the Phoenix then just says Lilandra is pathetic and she's like, your ancestors would weep at your ineptitude. And then Professor X arrives to stop the Phoenix, but Phoenix is like, if I thought that you could hurt me, I would have killed you already.
Which makes me think maybe this isn't the Phoenix. This is just, if the Phoenix was real, it's just Jean internal trauma coming out in a sort of way.
Yeah, and there is some ambiguity about this that we'll get to later in the issue that is pretty interesting, that is very like early 2000s Ultimate Marvel, like, is she really the Phoenix or is this something else, But back in Chicago during the fight, the Blob makes an interesting comment because Rogue is throwing her cards at him and using Gambit's powers, and Blob's like, yeah, you've got some brave girls on the team, and I'm like, that is actually a good point. There are plenty of strong female characters on the X-Men. Thank you for being a feminist, Blob.
They should call it X-Woman.
No!
You walked into that one.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did, yeah. That's awful. No.
It's a great line.
You don't need that. It's an awful line. But it's
Come
true.
on, if it's so awful, why is it so relevant?
It's just because Chris Claremont wrote some really strong female characters with the help of editors like Louise Simonson and Ann Nocenti, and Louise Simonson later writing X Factor. So the X-Men is very famous for having strong female characters. And I'm glad Blob recognizes that.
Who did Chris Claremont when we were talking to him? He called one character a dummy that he wrote. Who was it again?
He said Colossus is a putz.
I know, and I think he said Cannonball, or was it just Colossus?
Well, yeah, then he had a problem with like Cannonball not ending up with Lila Cheney.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Eesh, sorry, buddy,
Yeah, a
poor
lot of
guy."
I feel sad because a lot of his ideas were really good, and we now know we all agree they're good because they kind of bring them back little by little.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Marvel did end up using some of his ideas that he wasn't able to do during his time on the X-Men.
It's like they say, they didn't like Chris Claremont because he spoke the truth.
Who says that?
It's the meme.
All right. Well, there are some ideas that I heard about from Chris Claremont where I'm like, maybe it's best you weren't able to do that.
Like which one? Name one.
The original idea for Gambit was kind of crazy. He was
I
like
don't know if
supposed
there's a.
he was supposed to be like an aspect of Mr. Sinister. Like he was supposed to be like sent in by Sinister to like seduce Kitty and to like infiltrate the X-Men. He's like Sinister's idea of like a cool, edgy, like anti-hero character.
Okay, maybe that's not the best idea,
I
but
like what we got instead.
I feel a lot of Chris Claremont's ideas were like they were just too advanced for the time.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, all love to Chris Claremont, but then Elliot during the fight decreases the gravity around Blob by 95%, so they start like kicking him around like a beach ball. Because then he like punches the Blob to Colossus, who then punches him back, and then Elliot kicks him, and then Cyclops zaps him into the air, and then Elliot manages to restore the gravity, and then Blob comes crashing down into the ground.
And I'm like, this guy masters his powers really quick. These are really specific moves.
Yeah, you got a point there. Like, this is a lot for a guy who just recently like had no control of his powers, and now all of a sudden like knows how to use it like a pro against someone like the Blob.
Yeah, and also I don't like reality benders. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
They gotta be put down.
All right. Well, that's a little much, but after
Look.
Scarlet Witch, I kind of see what you mean.
Thank you.
Only it turns out she wasn't a mutant.
Yeah, oh look, that's different. That's magic. And also it wasn't a
Uh-huh.
mutant. Also, Scarlet, they never really it's like a side grant. They never really got Scarlet Witch's powers right. Like it seems none of the editorial nor the writers know what to do with her powers. And I like the last idea they had, which was that she is Magneto for magic, and then they just say she's not a mutant. Because that one
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense to me. Is that like what Magneto does with metal, she could do with magic, and then they
Yeah.
just said we actually didn't go with it because editorial said she's not a mutant at all.
Yeah, she's not a mutant, and she's not Magneto's daughter, so get fucked, men and Marvel fans.
Yeah, but it's such a nice answer to Scarlet Witch's powers. Is like she's a mutant and her powers to control magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool if
Yeah.
we were allowed to have that again.
Yeah, and I really thought they were gonna change it back, and that's special, but they did.
Yeah, but then back at the Xavier Institute, Phoenix starts like liquefying like Xavier's brain with her powers, and then Xavier's able to snap her out of it by saying that he loves her, and I'm like, oh my god. Because you could interpret that. I understand. You could interpret that as like fatherly love, maybe like, I love you. But like, I don't know. The way it's presented, I'm like, I don't know, man. I think he's like in love with this kid.
This is like a reference to this one panel in 616 where Professor X says, I love Jean or something, right?
It's from way early on in like the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby days when like there's a thought bubble that Stan Lee wrote about like Jean is the one that he loves, and like I can't tell her because like I'm confined to a wheelchair or whatever. And I'm like, it's stupid. And like it was only brought back like decades later, like right during like the Onslaught saga where Jean like delves into Xavier's mind and finds that memory. And I was like, yikes, we didn't need to see that again. We could have forgotten about that for the rest of time. But yeah, Jean snaps out of it, and then Professor X zaps her unconscious with his mind. And then good old Gerald, Lilandra's assistant, arrives, and he calls her Magistrix, which is actually what she's called in like the 616 comics, because she's actually like Magistrix Lilandra Neramani of the Shi'ar. She's like a ruler of the Shi'ar Empire, like an intergalactic empire. But in this, it's just a title for like a church, like kind of a culty religion,
Yeah.
if you ask me.
I mean, they're based off of Scientology so far, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. Then back in Chicago, S.H.I.E.L.D. and a bunch of reporters arrive on the scene, and no one knows why the Brotherhood even attacked the school and why they interrupted the dance.
Which is why I think Elliot summoned them. He needed an excuse to be an X-Men, so his reality-bending powers brought the Brotherhood to them.
So you're suspecting like a whole conspiracy about how he like set this whole thing up to look good, like Syndrome,
Yeah.
or like Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, but it's easy for him because he has reality-bending powers he doesn't fully control.
Yeah, so he just like manipulated like the whole thing to make it look like he was the hero here.
Yes, that's my theory.
Well, the press seems to be eating it up because he's like doing some good PR for the X-Men. He's like talking with the reporters, talking about how they just want like to help humans and mutants alike and to show that like, not all mutants are like evil terrorists or bad or anything. And so he's helping them out at least.
Yeah. Because all of a sudden he's good at PR. That's another weird move.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh is still suspicious, still on the lookout. We'll see if his theories prove correct.
My spider senses are tingling.
Yeah.
That's my spider sense impression.
That's your spider sense? That's like a little growling?
It's like Perry the Platypus, but like I imagine.
Yeah.
That's my spider sense.
Man, you were like you're Perry the Platypus of 2026.
Hey, that show's coming back.
Hell yeah. But then Cyclops checks in on Angel to see how he's doing, and he's sorry he's not at the school anymore. But Angel's like, yeah, I'm pretty good, and I just couldn't stay at Xavier's anymore without Allison Dazzler.
He's keeping a cover up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not even Cyclops knows that Angel is there because Professor X sent him there to spy on the Chicago school.
Emma Frost shows up and she's like, was Xavier behind this? And I'm like, no, but like, I'm surprised you haven't caught on. I feel you detect Xavier communicating all the way from New York to Chicago.
Yeah, like she has telepathic powers. You'd think she'd be able to detect that like Angel is communicating with Professor X, unless Professor X is using his power to block any psychic detection, which is stronger, one telepath versus the other, right?
Yeah. I wonder if telepathy is like ham radio, or you could, if you just tune into the right frequency, just listen in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I think Professor Xavier is supposed to be like the strongest psychic on the planet.
It's not a level omega mutant though, so.
Right, but he's just had more time to train himself and more time to master his powers, so at the moment he's the strongest, but there is an upper limit to his powers. But yeah, Emma Frost is like, Xavier behind this? Like, where are the chaperones? And I'm like, I have no idea. Where are the chaperones? Who are the chaperones?
Yeah.
Then Colossus and Northstar also have a cute moment where they're like, hell of our first date, huh? But it seems things turned out fine for them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Back at the school, like Jean, Xavier, and Lalandra, they all recover in time for Gerald to tell them, like, hey, like, all the tests came back negative. Jean is not the Phoenix. And he's like, yeah, Jean, do you remember your parents? Because we found out they were members of our church, and you may have picked up like the teachings that your parents passed down to you, and because you're confused on how to handle your powers, you convince yourself you're the Phoenix, but really she's just like confused and unwell and can't handle it. And Jean's like, you think I'm crazy?
And I'm like, yeah.
And Professor X has to sedate her psychically, which is crazy. I'm like, yikes, getting really controlling there, Chuck.
When they're back at the mansion, Kitty thanks Elliot for giving them good press. He's already popular with everyone now.
Yep, and Logan's still gone fighting the Hulk, it seems, because Storm's like, has anyone seen Wolverine? Nightcrawler sees Colossus, and Colossus tries to approach him, but Kurt bamps away and teleports out of there. So
yeah, I don't like this homophobic.
I don't like
Nightcrawler.
it.
Yeah.
Nope, me neither.
The real Nightcrawler is not judgmental. He accepts all people, regardless of their sexuality and skin color.
Amen to that, yeah. He's one of the most loving, like, accepting characters in all of X-Men.
That's why I love the 616 Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he's like top 5 X-Men for me. Like, he's one of the best.
Yeah, also, he's a pirate sometimes. And sometimes a Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. He's fun.
Yeah.
He's fun, he's swashbuckling, but he's also, like, very compassionate and caring and a man of faith.
He's a priest.
Yeah, and he's got that riz, you know?
Well, he's not supposed to as a priest, but yeah.
He's suave, he's smooth.
He was Spider-Man, and everyone was just kind of okay with it for a bit.
Yeah, because that was fun.
Yeah. I don't like the fact he could crawl walls, but, you know, because that's kind of disgusting. But
I mean, they call him Nightcrawler. Like, what do you want?
He teleports. He looks disgusting. Isn't that good enough?
He doesn't look disgusting. Again, he's handsome.
It's disgusting.
I want to shout out to my friend Tim. I got like added to like a Discord a while back, and my friend Tim, who runs the Discord, he actually was listening, and he started a poll on our Discord to see if Nightcrawler is handsome or not.
Who won?
Let's find out. Honestly, I'm gonna see how it's doing in the polls. Wow. Okay, it's 6-1. He is handsome.
No.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, this is like a biased pro Nightcrawler discourser, we gotta have to put it on a more unbiased source.
It's just on a Marvel Discord, like no real. It's not like a Nightcrawler Discord.
It's like no, but like it's just edged towards being pro Nightcrawler. Have you seen the Nightcrawler movie, by the way?
Movie?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one with like Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the character Nightcrawler.
I just assume like me, Nightcrawler seemed like after an aspect of like that movie esque, and that like he crawls in the night, not that he crawls walls like some disgusting cockroach.
Man, that's like if you're like, hey, we're talking about Ben Grimm, and you're like, hey, did you see John Carpenter's The Thing? I was like, there's no connection.
Well, there's a connection. They're both disgusting monsters.
The name is the connection.
My point is, like, I love Nightcrawler, but I like who he is on the inside. He's a beautiful person on the inside, but on the outside, he's like
outside.
No,
he's a stud.
Outside, he's a disgusting thing.
Man, you've been outvoted. Just accept defeat.
No, democracy is wrong in this way. That's what we are supposed to have.
You want to be a dictator?
No, but that's why we have the Electoral College, in case democracy makes the wrong decision.
Josh, you poor misguided soul. And everyone hates the Electoral College now.
Yeah, well, yeah, because, its very concept is a little weird.
Yeah, you admit it.
Yeah. A few countries have had the Electoral College, not just us. They all got rid of it.
Yeah, there we go. Then at the mansion, Xavier tells Scott what happened to Jean, and Scott approaches Jean like curled up in her bed, and Cyclops wants to help her, but she just tells him to like leave her alone, and she's like surrounded by like all these weird green little alien things, and I did not understand what they were.
Neither do I. Maybe they're like Shi'ar.
Yeah, are they like psychic projections or something? I don't know.
I need to look back, but maybe you never know with art in this case.
I mean, they're on the cover. It's like the cover of Jean being like crawled all over by these like little green men. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening here.
She is like looking back on and it's just projecting, as they say.
Yeah, literally.
I need to look at the cover right now.
Yeah, it's basically just Jean covered in all these green men. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I remember this. I was a little weirded out. Yeah, I don't fully get it. No.
Yeah, me neither.
They're just psychic things just creeping on her.
If anyone can tell us what these things are, please write in. What's our email, Josh?
It's ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. Comics plural, podcast singular.
Yes, and you can also contact us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Ultimate Comics Podcast, because we really need to know what these little green men are that are crawling around Jean at the end of issue 71 of Ultimate X-Men.
And whether Nightcrawler is handsome or not.
And spoiler alert, he is. He's a stud.
He is not. He's beautiful on the inside, nowhere else.
He's beautiful inside and out. They can never make me hate you, Nightcrawler.
I don't hate you, Nightcrawler. I love you, Nightcrawler. I just think you look disgusting, and that it's really disgusting you crawl walls.
Kurt Wagner is a stud muffin, and I will not hear otherwise.
Oh, look, isn't it good enough to be beautiful on the inside?
It is.
Yeah.
But he's also pretty sexy.
No, he's not. No Spider-Man is sexy.
No you're going on about Peter Parker being ugly again now, aren't you?
Exactly.
He's not, though. Have you read the John Romita Sr. and Jr. Spider-Man comics for that matter?
There's, our comics, as they say, always takes a few pounds off and makes you look a little better.
He's a fictional character. He's only depicted through illustration.
And Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, Tom Holland's good looking. Andrew Garfield's good looking.
Okay, Andrew Garfield is good looking.
Like, debatable, but
Andrew Garfield, everyone has a problem with his Spider-Man because he is too good looking.
But then you go back to the Stan Lee, John Romita days, and you're like, yeah, he's a stud. Even at the end of the Steve Ditko run, he was a stud.
I read the original Stan Lee run. He looks like a box wearing glasses.
That's like in Amazing Fantasy 15. He has a major glow up throughout that run, though.
And because he gets more confident, but he's still ugly. And we know this because when he meets Jessica Jones in Alias in a flashback, he still looks like a box. So meaning to the rest of the world, he's still ugly.
Yeah, well, Jessica Jones had a crush on him anyways, so...
because she's into ugly men.
No, because he's a cute nerd, and he also, starts growing some serious muscle, and he takes off his glasses, and he's a stud.
Some people, when they put on muscle and take off their glasses, are still ugly. There's no shame in that.
That's not my problem. Peter Parker's still good looking.
I disagree.
Write in, everyone.
Yeah,
Are Peter Parker and Nightcrawler handsome or ugly?
And we gotta, send this to unbiased people, send some art of Peter Parker, and go like, is this handsome? And the answer is no.
All right, well, we got to finish this issue. So, the last thing I want to say is at the very end of issue 71 of Ultimate X Men, Gerald, Lilandra's assistant, reports in to someone mysterious that we don't know about and calls in saying, yeah, so we ran the test. Jean is the Phoenix. Dun dun dun. And he's like, yeah, the plan is underway to return the Hellfire Club to its former glory. And I'm like, oh snap, betrayal,
Yeah.
treachery. Gerald is not who we thought he was, even though we barely saw any of him before, anyways.
Fun fact: through accidental research, I found out the Hellfire Club in Marvel Comics is based off a real place, real secret society called the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure they seem like they would be pretty kinky in real life too.
Yeah, I know, it was just a kink thing, apparently. Benjamin Franklin was a member, which tells you all you need to
Oh
know.
my god, yep. That's messed up, man.
So,
was not far off when he created them.
So, if they found Jean Grey in the 7th, and there is a Marvel 1603, so why not have a Marvel 1705? Benjamin Franklin would have been in the Hellfire Club,
Man.
and he would have been really into it.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin in Marvel is also just as big as a freak because he
Wait,
did
what?
if you read the Steve Englehart Doctor Strange run, Ben Franklin and Clea,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
they get
Yeah.
it on. They bone.
I forgot about that. Poor Stephen Strange, another guy with a sad love life.
Yep, getting cucked by Ben Franklin. I'm like, oh my god, that's insane. That Steve Englehart run on Doctor Strange is a trip. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Seminal 70s run on Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is another character. It's like Havok and Peter Parker. You kind of feel sad about his messed up love life.
He's also like kind of a hoe too. Like Doctor Strange, he's kind of up there with Matt Murdock, and like, yeah, they're both kind of like sluts. They will like bone anyone who looks at them.
Well, here's the thing: with Matt Murdock, it's because he's a horn dog. With Doctor Strange, it's because he's sad about his failed romantic life.
I think it's just because he's a horn dog too.
They banged the same woman too.
Yep, that sounds about right.
They both banged Elektra.
Wow, Doctor Strange and Elektra? When did this happen?
In Savage Avengers. I read that comic. I did not. It just happens randomly. They're just talking. She asks him about his cape, and he goes like, "Yeah, and I have more in the Sanctum Sanctorum." And the next thing they know, you see a visual of them floating up while banging.
There's a panel in like the Al Ewing like Defenders miniseries where there's this cosmic chaos happening and like world ending, and then like Stephen Strange gets saved by this like powerful woman. I think she's like Galactus's mom, and like Doctor Strange makes eyes at her, and the Silver Surfer is narrating, and the Silver Surfer's like, "Oh, Stephen," like, and you can tell he's like, "You ho, like, are we doing this shit again?"
Isn't there like a comic where like every Avenger or a Defender or Illuminati member gets their deepest desire, and Stephen Strange's deepest desire is just for a threesome with the Scarlet Witch and Clea?
I don't know about that, but that sounds pretty real.
But there's something nice about that, in that he doesn't have crazy ambitions to take over the world or be the best. He already is the best. He just wants to get together with his wife.
He's just a horn dog.
Is it a horn dog to just want to like sleep with your wife? That's a very
and the Scarlet Witch.
Okay, that's a bit odd, but understandable. But there's something nice that his biggest desire is just to be with his wife.
And the Scarlet Witch.
Yes. But,
Mommy Supreme.
You said it, not me.
Yep, I said it, and I'll say it again. Anyways, any final thoughts on these issues, Josh?
These were okay. They were part of the bigger arc. I do feel Elliot is now who he says he is. Or he is who he says he is, but his reality bending powers are so dangerous. He subconsciously caused all this to happen. And I want to see where the Phoenix Force goes. I love how there's ambiguity on it. This was a very slow, and I kind of found it annoying burn. Just because over the course of years, even though we condensed it to 2 years, you just get so many hints of it. But now we're finding more after,
Yeah, it is like a slow burn on the Phoenix in this, and it might be a little too slow, because I'm like, are we ever going to get answers on the Phoenix? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been over 70 issues, and we still barely have anything. So like, I don't know. We'll see. It was a fun few issues. I liked the fight with the Brotherhood. I liked seeing what this new character, Elliot, who's now codenamed the Magician, can do. Although I understand your suspicions, Josh. Things were a little too easy for him.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious to see where the Phoenix goes and what happens there. Yeah, not bad. Pretty decent. I'm very excited for our next arc, though, that we read. This is one I've been waiting for. We're going to read next episode Ultimate Wolverine versus the Hulk, the miniseries numbers 1 through 6. I've been waiting to read this
Yeah.
one forever. So this is going to be very good. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah. Two creeps going at it.
Yeah, some of the worst versions of these characters going at it with each other. I can't wait. But yeah, until next time, everyone, take care and make mine Ultimate Comics. Bye bye.